It looks like something is happening. Cool. I think we're online. Something changed in the streaming department of YouTube, so I needed to figure a whole bit out about this. So if anybody can tell me in the chat or wherever if the stream is working, that would be great. So for everybody watching already, thanks for tuning in. Super happy to tell all of you guys that we have 10,000 subscribers now. It's been a long one. We started in 2016, so it's 3 years of work to get to 10,000. So it hasn't been a quick growth, but we're just super happy, and we're gonna try to keep the content going and see if we can make even more and even better content for you guys. So yeah, thanks for subscribing if you have subscribed, and if you haven't subscribed, maybe consider it, because there's some good stuff coming. I want to talk about a couple things. First off, I talked about the 10,000 subscribers that we have now, and what that will mean for us is that we'll just keep going and see if we can make it even bigger and get even more stuff for you. And first off, we're gonna do that by just making more videos. We've had a good day of filming recently, and we made a series of videos that is related to the technique week that we did last year. So last year we did the technique week. For everybody who hasn't seen that yet and shoots a recurve bow or whatever kind of bow you shoot, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. I would say check the technique week out, because there's some good information in there. And we used this technique week to help Jaap with his shooting, because Jaap has recently started shooting recurve as a thing on the side, because in his heart he is still a wooden bow shooter. But we're gonna see if we can make Jaap into a full-fledged recurve shooter. And one of the things that I really wanted to do with Jaap is to explain to him the things that we also explained to all of you guys in the technique week. So I took a day with Jaap to go step by step and see if we can do everything that we did in the technique week, and if we can form his recurve technique more into something that he will actually be able to shoot some good results with. So I'm happy to edit that one, but as you know, it's Christmas, and I've been on a training camp in South Africa, so I haven't had all that much time, and it takes some time to edit. So that's all coming, and it's just a matter of time before you guys will see it. The plan is to do 1 week of 7 videos again, so it's a bit of work before that, but should be good. And we already taped a video of a left-handed challenge, so I'm pretty excited to share that one with you guys. We invited 2 friends for a left-handed challenge where Jaap, me, and 2 friends shot a left-handed competition against each other. So that was also an interesting one. In the thumbnail I put Q&A, so if there is any questions from the audience already, you can let them know in the chat. I have the chat here, so I can look at the chat. So hi Gerben, Adam, and Kitty. Good to see you guys. I am going to be back in time for nationals. I'm home, so I wouldn't see a reason not to be back in time. I don't know if I'm gonna shoot nationals indoors because I haven't done much indoors and I'm not planning to do much indoors. But yeah, I might because why not? A couple exciting things coming up. I talked about the videos that we are going to upload soon. But there's also the web shop. We have a web shop. Right now, all the products are out of stock, so we need to order more products. But before we do that, we need to figure out shipping. Shipping is not that easy, especially for people from all over the world. We don't want to limit it to Europe or to the Netherlands, so we want to ship over the world, and that takes some effort. We are planning on getting this done in January. And maybe an exciting fact or some exciting news to share with you is that I'll be working in a archery shop again as of the 2nd of January. It's called the Dutch Bow Store, and I will link their website in the chat. I will work at this place. And I'm pretty excited about that because they have a great web shop. They have a brand new store. They just moved to a brand new super big store, so I'm really excited about that. And I'll be taking care of some target stuff. They're mainly focused on 3D, but we want to make a shift in that and see if we can also do the target stuff. So I'll be working at that shop, and we're gonna see if we can make a link between Triple Trouble and that shop, and if we can make each other even more known in the public. So I'm really excited for that. Benz is asking me if I have tried KSL Jet 6 vanes, which I have. I have tried the KSL vanes, and I shot a lot of vanes along each other, and I tested them for a couple thousand arrows each. And after like a couple thousand arrows, I noticed that my groups with the KSL vanes were a bit wider than the ones with the spin wings. That's also the reason I shoot spin wings. It's not like because of any sponsor contracts or because I like the people behind it. That's I mean, it's nice that that's the case, but I shoot spin wings because I actually have the best group with the spin wings that I tested. So yeah, that's the reason I shoot those. I have tried the KSL vanes. I have tried the XS wings, the Spider vanes, Eli vanes, and Gaspro, and then yeah. So I've done some testing, and for me the spin wings just give the best group in different conditions. So it makes the most sense for me to shoot those. Any plans to vlog from the Olympics next year? Not really, because when I'm at the Olympics, I want to focus at the Olympics, or I want to focus on the Olympics, and not on vlogging, since I'm not a natural vlogger. It's difficult for me to film a vlog because I'm always thinking about like what do they think is interesting, and I don't want to occupy my mind too much with vlogging. So I want to focus on shooting and a good competition. Somebody is asking me about plunger tuning, if we're gonna do a video about it. We have a list of videos that we still want to do, and plunger tuning is one of them. But I am not a natural, I'm not a natural in tuning. So for me, it takes a lot of looking into it, and I have to see how that actually works exactly before I can make that video. But it's definitely on the schedule, and we are going to we're going to try to make a nice and clear video about it. Jaap has joined the chat. Lekker Jaap. Jaap is probably celebrating Christmas with his family, so he's not here. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I wish you guys all the best for the Christmas days and New Year as well. So, about the web shop, we have a couple shirts in the web shop right now, and a hat and some stickers, but we don't want to limit ourselves to that. So in the background we are working on some other stuff as well, and an example of that is some tools. I think this is really cool. We have we call it the clicker tool. It's not out yet, but it's coming, and yeah, super excited to show you guys the eventual product of that. It's a wooden tool, by the way. We want to get back into the whole wood thing. There's a lot of plastic in archery, and we feel like using organic materials would be better for the sport and for us, and we simply just really like wood. So how often do you go to a sport masseur or chiropractor? When I'm shooting full time at the Olympic Training Center, I have one session every week at the sport masseur. Some people are jealous of it, but you have to keep in mind that a sport massage is not the same as a normal massage. So typically I go home with a completely bruised back because they don't go easy on me. So I understand that it's in my best interest, but it's not a comfortable thing to do. So once a week I try to go to the sport masseur, and we have a physio on the Olympic Training Center that's in full-time. She has a full-time job at the Olympic Training Center, and she comes by every now and then to just check in on us and ask if we have any complaints about our body, if we have any injuries or any little pains. So we get good care at the Olympic Training Center. What's the main reason to separate indoor and outdoor, apart from the obvious difference? Why one or the other? For me, there is a difference in indoor and outdoor, mostly mentally, but there's also the fact that it's just a much different angle. If I'm shooting indoor after shooting 70 meters for some time, it feels to me as if I'm shooting my arrows into the ground. Like the angle is such a difference that I really have to adapt to it. And then why one or the other? Well, outdoor makes more sense to me because all the competitions that matter to me and my my NOC, my National Olympic Committee, are outdoor. So I need to definitely shoot outdoor rather than indoor if I want to get paid and if I can pay the rent, because I have a nice apartment now and I would like to keep it that way. What's your opinion about mental coaching or mental training? I think mental coaching and mental training is important. People often see it as something that you only need when you're not mentally strong, but I think you can always use it in your own benefit. You can always use it to your own benefit. I do mental training in the shape of meditation, but also we do yoga at the training center. We have I'm not sure what the English term is, but we have like a physio that also focuses on mental stuff. So there's a vast we do a lot of mental training, and it's not something we do just to get better, but it's also something to do to just feel better and to have more understanding of what exactly you are doing. So mental training is definitely important. Somebody's asking if I remember him, but I meet so many people in a year that it's difficult for me to remember all the names, so I'm sorry, but just by seeing your name I don't necessarily remember you. What can an archer do to increase his or her score? Depending on where you are at in your shooting career, it's important to find a coach if you don't have one. If you do have a coach, make good have good talks with your coach. So make sure that you are both on the same page about your technique, your shooting, and your goals. Set goals is another one, and just keep having fun while shooting. If you don't have fun, and if you feel like you have to shoot to get better, then I think that's counterproductive. So basically, to increase your score, you have to love the game, have a good coach, and have a good relationship with your coach, and just do it a lot. Eventually repetition is key. Gonzalo is asking, how can I? And then that's the whole question. I'm not sure how you can. Yeah, so we have some exciting stuff going on in the background. We are working on some videos and on some products. We're constantly trying to keep things moving, but it's difficult to show everything to the public before it's done. We want to make sure that when we show something to you guys, it's done and it looks nice. So even though it might seem like we haven't done much the last couple of weeks, there is definitely something going on behind the scenes. So don't worry about that. Sometimes I feel rushed to release a string. How can I avoid that? I think a good way of training this, or training against doing this, is to start off standing really close to the target. Hang up a nice and big target face, and just get used to aiming at the middle of that big target face. When you feel comfortable at a certain distance, let's say 5 meters to start with, move a couple meters back and do the same thing up until you get to the point that you have the right distance. Then move the target face out and put a slightly smaller one there, and see if you can still feel comfortable aiming and holding at the middle. You don't have to shoot the first arrows. You can also just hold it for, let's say, 5 seconds, and then let down again, and just keep doing this until you feel comfortable aiming in the middle without having the urge to release, because eventually you are the boss over your bow, and the bow is not the boss over you. So keep that one in mind. A silly question. Do color combinations matter to you? Do you feel more comfortable to shoot with a nice bow when you like how it looks, etc.? Not necessarily. I mean, I get sponsored by a couple brands, so I get the choice often to just pick a color that I like, and then since I can pick anyways, it makes sense for me to just pick colors that I like. But sometimes I'll just put a bow together to test something, and it doesn't look very great because I just put some colors together and it shoots just as well. So it doesn't matter all that much to me. And I'm also not like one of those kids in high school being upset because another girl is wearing the same dress as me. If I have a nice looking bow and somebody else has the exactly same bow, that's fine with me. That just shows that it was probably a good choice. So I'm not too worried about the colors or about how the bow looks in the first place. Probably not the best moment to do a live stream during Christmas, but I had a day off, so I figured might as well start a live stream and see if anybody doesn't have too much to do, so I can answer some questions and talk about stuff about Triple Trouble. How much do tungsten points give to the group? Are they that much better? Tungsten points are much shorter than a stainless steel point, which means that the shaft of the arrow is actually bending more evenly. If you have a stainless steel point, you can get a really good grouping arrow, but it's a bit less predictable because the front of the shaft is much stiffer than the back of the shaft, and then that means that the back of the shaft is doing all the bending. With a tungsten point, it also means that because the whole shaft is bending, in my experience, your shafts last longer, and you can do along well with a set of tungsten points. I think the last time I put new tungsten points in was before the last Olympics, so 3 years ago. My left shoulder continuously lifts up and I don't know what to do about it. I thought that it was because I wasn't pushing, but then I noticed I was. this is very difficult to coach from a distance, but it might be that you have a lot of weight on your bow. If you, the more weight you put on the bow, the heavier it gets. And if you want to lift something that's really heavy, you automatically also lift up your shoulder. So it can be just that it's too heavy, or it's just a case of muscle control. So if you lift up your bow and then with that you lift your shoulder, that's a good sign that you don't have the right muscles tensed. So try also without a bow. You can practice maybe with a bottle of water or whatever, but you can just practice with lifting up your arm without lifting your shoulder, because if you lift your shoulder, you will also be out of the socket for your shoulder and be not as strong. So just practice it without a bow first, and then practice it with a light club bow or just with a light bow in general. And then if you get that going, see if your own bow is not just too heavy. When are we getting the results from the giveaway? We will be presenting the results of the giveaway tomorrow, and this is a good time to also tell you that there is 2 more giveaways coming in the next weeks. We wanted to do a giveaway for Christmas and for New Year's, and also for getting to 10k subs, but now we already got the 10k subs, so yeah, that's pretty quick. So we'll be doing another giveaway soon, and I can share with you guys that we will do another Fairweather tab in plastic, and then the 3rd giveaway will be a metal Pro Series Fairweather tab. So yeah, we're pretty happy about the fact that Fairweather gave us 3 tabs to give away. And you don't have to worry about the sizes, because we'll send you a message and ask for your size, and then they will send it directly from Australia in the right size. So it doesn't matter if you're left-handed, right-handed, or big fingers, small fingers, it doesn't matter. We will send you the right size. Will Triple Trouble do shot review or something like a mini Coach Me series like what Archery did? We started something like this, but we weren't able to make enough time to do it. We did a thing called troubleshooting, and then people could send us videos and we would review it and then upload on YouTube so people could learn from other people's mistakes, which I think is still a great idea, but yeah, it's just, it takes too much time, because and it's pretty difficult to manage all the videos that we got in, and so we pretty much overestimated our own ability to do this and the time that we had for it. So it would have been a good idea, and I think it could have made our channel bigger than it is now, but yeah, in the end, Jaap is working on a school, Gijs is studying and shooting full-time, and I'm also shooting full-time and doing other stuff, and I'm gonna work in an archery shop, so it was just a time thing. Is a front-weighted bow better or an all-round stable bow better? That's a very good question, and that's also because it's a very personal thing. I like to have a bow that's a bit front-heavy, but also has a lot of weight in the back for stability. But then you have to be able to deal with the fact that your bow is not going to be as jumpy and as dynamic in a shot as when you have shorter stabilizers with more weight in the front. We'll be doing a video about stabilization in the beginning of next year, so you can keep your eyes peeled for that. The winner of the giveaway is going to be somebody who we're going to see who actually did the giveaway the way we're supposed to do it. So by giving a suggestion for a video and tagging someone, we're throwing them all on like one big pile, and then randomize it and then see if we like the video idea and if it's not a bad idea. So we're gonna first make a selection and then randomize the people in that selection. Are you planning to get new tattoos? Or tattoos are just for the Olympics? I wouldn't mind a new tattoo, but I don't want to have a tattoo just because of the tattoo. So I decided that the tattoo that I have now on my shoulder with the Olympic rings and the arrow is enough for now, and if I ever feel like I have a good reason to get another one, I might, but not short term. Could you guys make another video for archery strengthening at home, because I am not the age to go to the gym. We are going to make a video with my current strength trainer, who is a very highly educated strength trainer, but also just a very nice guy. And we're going to talk about why strength training is important for archery and what kind of exercises you can do at home. If you need something already right now, I would recommend that you go to the archery rehab Instagram, because that's an Instagram that Vanessa Lee made, a physio from Canada who used to be an international archer as well. So she has some idea, I would say, of strength training, and I highly recommend her page. When is the right time to start using a clicker? I think there's a lot of opinions about this, and I didn't shoot with a clicker until I was like 11 or 12, and then I got a clicker, and then I had to learn how to shoot with a clicker. What I think is important, that if you start shooting with a clicker, that you learn that the clicker is not necessarily the moment you have to release, but it's the moment that you have reached a certain draw length. So it's not that the clicker controls your shot, you still control the clicker. So a good way to train this, as I said in the video we did on it, I will link it. I have to first find it, of course, but and I have the link here. So if you start using the clicker, it's important that when you pull back and the clicker goes, you wait a little bit so that you keep control over the clicker, and that you release when you are ready to release, and not because the clicker goes off. This will prevent you from releasing on somebody else's clicker sound. This will prevent you from releasing when your sight's not in the middle, so you can still have the control over your shot, rather than just waiting for the clicker and then suddenly releasing. How enjoyable was it for you and guys to finish first and second at Kings? Yeah, we were super happy about that. Yeah, that was pretty much it. I mean, it was freaking amazing that we managed to get out on top, and it was I think it was good for the channel, but also good for us, and probably a good mental boost for Gijs as well, to get a podium on a big tournament like this. I know Gijs's plan or goal beforehand was to get into the final, the shootout at Kings, and then the fact that he made it to a podium is probably super nice for him. So yeah, that was cool. What was my favorite archery victory? Oof. I don't know, but the one that I've recently enjoyed the most was the match I shot with Kim Woojin. And not because I shot against Kim Woojin, but I was in such a relaxed state that I just was able to really relax and just do my own thing. Whereas before, I have had competitions where that hasn't been the case. So yeah, I'm super happy with that. Let's see, Technique Week. Because somebody is asking about drawing back and getting through the clicker. Obviously we did Technique Week, and I have a link to the video of the extension. So here's a link of our video about extension, which means when you get into anchor, how do you keep pulling without moving too much? And that's something we paid some attention to in that video. It's not really about archery, but how have you been lately? That's a good question. I've been a bit up and down, but ever since I'm home again and got to spend some time with family and friends, I feel a lot better. So, but thanks for your concern, and thanks for your question. Do different type or brand of fletching help in an archer score? I have I have tested veins probably 1.5 years ago, maybe 2 years ago. I don't remember, but I've been testing veins, and yeah, I noticed that there's a difference, but it's minor differences. So I think if you're at the at a intermediate or maybe beginner level, I would just go with the veins that last the longest and don't rip as much, because then you don't have to fletch as much. And fletching, I don't know many people who like fletching, so yeah. Will there be a triple trouble bow photo in the next year? Probably not, because of the same reason that we are not doing the troubleshooting. It's just difficult for us to find the time to do videos about just things that we have to spend a lot of time in. Like we can make videos and tutorials, and we recently made a left-handed challenge video, which I'm editing right now. But it just takes a lot of time, so I cannot make all the videos that I want to, and I need to make a shift in them. So we like to spend time on videos that we know people really enjoy, and videos that we really enjoy doing. So it's it's a bit of a balance that we have to do. Somebody's asking for a shout out. I've never heard of it, but Wild Bow Archery Trainers, thanks for watching, and I hope you will do well in your shooting. Do you use your red scope at times for shooting, or only the green one? Because I bought the red one and I want to know what will be the main difference between them. I've only used the green one. I've tested the red one when I had some prototypes before my scope was officially launched, and for me the green one just made more sense, because then if I go out of the yellow I see it, and if I'm in the yellow I don't see it as much, so I don't get stressed about it. So for me green makes sense, but if you want to do red, feel free to do red, obviously. Do I use a scope on the shooting line, so a spotting scope, or just shoot them in the middle and you will know it where they will go? My eyes are yeah, well, I don't want to brag or something, because it's not always a gift. It sometimes occurs, but my eyes are really sharp. So I typically see where my arrows are going, and I also feel where my arrows are going. So if the shot feel and the result of the arrow or the direction of the arrow match up, I don't really need a scope. Sometimes I'll shoot a shot and then I see it drifts off, and then so yeah, for me my eyesight is good enough to not really need a scope. And then also the competitions that I'm shooting, I typically have a coach behind me who will spot and who will say or warn me if my group is not in the middle. So if I shoot 3 9s on the right, he'll tell me to adjust my sight so I shoot in the middle again. So yeah, scope is not really that necessary for me. How long have we been going right now? Can I see that somewhere? 33 minutes. That's not bad. Ben says that fletching is like meditating for me. Well, you can come over here and fletch some sets of arrows for me. The green one doesn't make a difference when there is grass around. No. I think, because I've never noticed, like if you're aiming in the grass, you probably don't need a scope anyways. Do you guys still hang out with Mick? That's a good question. I still do. I hang out with Mick sometimes, but he has a full-time job and I'm pretty busy, so it's not something we do that often. We should do it more, but yeah, I guess that's adult life. And somebody says, do you produce a second technique week? Well, that's funny to ask. We recently filmed a technique week again. We basically did the same thing, but now we put it into practice by coaching Jaap through the technique week. So Jaap has recently started shooting recurve, and we just went like day one. Okay, we're gonna talk about stance, and then we looked at Jaap's stance and corrected it where necessary, and then day two I think was about pre-shot routine or something. And then we took him through that. So we took him through the 7 days of shooting, and that one will the second week of technique stuff will come out, I think somewhere in January, because it takes some time to edit. How can I fix my release? I'm currently using 40 pounds. Do I have to use low poundage, or is there any tips for fixing the release? Fixing your release actually means fixing everything that you do up until the release, in my opinion. So if your release goes outwards, it's not because you're not able to release, but it's probably because the tension you build up is not really in the right direction. You're probably using your arm rather than your back, or so there's a good way of practicing this, and that's by just pretty much taking a light bow and seeing if you can let the string hang from your fingers. So make sure your wrist is relaxed, your hand is relaxed as possible, and your forearm is relaxed. And then shoot with a light bow and see if you can just let the string go by relaxing your fingers more. If you can manage this, you can start working on the extension rather than pulling back with your arm really hard. Try to use your shoulder and rotate your shoulders into line to get through the clicker. I've posted some links about this, a couple comments up, and I think that would very much benefit you if you watch those videos. Thanks, Gonzalo. I think I have a cool Christmas sweater as well. I bought it 2 or 3 years ago, and I've worn it since. What happened to you other two Formula X bows, the slate and the red one, after you got your new Formula XI? I still shoot them. I have a couple bows. So one of them I gave to my girlfriend, so she shoots with it now, and I still use the red one as a spare bow because I only have one Formula XI yet. And the red one, it's pretty much, it's pretty much just my spare bow right now. And if I need to test something with arrows, or if I need to or want to check something with alignment, see if I can figure something out with tuning, I typically do it with my spare bow so that my main bow is still set up the same. Technique week, very good, because I think the most of us have no trainer. That's why we make the videos. If there's anybody without a trainer and you want to know how to get better, or you're struggling with something in your technique, we made the technique week so that we can share our thoughts on technique and give you some small tips to work with when you don't have a trainer. But I still recommend seeing if you can find a trainer or coach, because looking at a YouTube video will only do so much. But I hope it helps some people out there if we make tutorials or videos. Do you have any plans to do another chef's bow and Gijs's bow on your current setups? Definitely. That's definitely in the pipeline. We want to make it a special one again. I think the bow breakdown that we did on my bow the last time was one of the nicest looking videos that we ever made. So we want to keep it a high standard. So we're actually seeing if we can get some third-party members to help with it, so we can really make it a nice video. Is there a good training if you don't have time to go to your target range? So if you only have short distance. Yes, you can still do good training on short distance. You just have to adjust your goals. You cannot expect to shoot blank bill and then have it directly transfer over to shooting on a target, but you can definitely work on your stamina. You can visualize that you're shooting on a target. So I would recommend that you visualize shooting a competition when you're shooting on a blank bill, just so that you don't simply shoot arrows. It's basically the same thing, but without a target, so you can really visualize it and see if that helps you. How is your health now? Because I saw your Instagram and you said you had health problems. I still have health problems in a sense. I get cluster headaches. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of cluster headaches, but basically means that sometimes I will have a day where I'm not able to train, because I had a headache, and that sounds really severe, but I I encourage you guys to Google cluster headache and see what you find. Um, I still have those, but I try to keep my life as stressless as possible, and that helps with preventing the headaches. And I also have normal head migraines, so yeah, I definitely I definitely try to keep my health okay, but it's better than it was before. I had quite a bad period of headaches, and then I also had sinusitis, and I've had a bit of a period where I had troubles with my health, but now it's good. Let's see. Do I have a top 5 limited or unique bows what you would like to get, including compound, traditional, etc.? Not really. There's some bows that I would really like to have, but there's mostly limbs that I'm still looking for. Like I have a lot of bows that I save up. Like I'm a bit of a collector, so I have some gold medalists and some Hoyt axes, but it's difficult to find limbs from that era that are long enough and heavy enough, because I have quite a long draw length. So I want to have 70-inch limbs and more than 40 pounds. That's like my criteria. But the heaviest Hoyt FX limbs that I have found so far are 70 and 38. So I have some FX limbs for my axes, but they're a bit light. Gold medalist limbs I'm yet to find in the specs that I needed. I have a Samick Agula Ultra, for which I would like to have some Samick Masters limbs, but also difficult to get in long sizes, because I think Asians typically have a little shorter arms than mine. So yeah, limbs are always welcome, especially vintage limbs. And I would still like to have a Yamaha Aola, but then not just any Aola, but the rainbow color scheme. So it was a very cool, like, multicolored Yamaha bow with a carbon fiber grip. It was just a very cool thing, and I would like to have one of those, but I don't have like a top 5. It's just that when I see a bow that I really want, I'll just look for it until I find it, and yeah, there's a couple that I'm still looking for. So if anybody is ever thinking of getting rid of some old bows, I am always interested in taking it. I have a BMG bow, somebody says. That's very cool. Last summer I actually visited Martinez, his house, and I've spent some time with him, and he showed me his shed where he makes his limbs. He still makes limbs just for fun, and he also showed me some of his risers, but he doesn't have so many anymore. So unfortunately, I couldn't take one home, but it's very cool. I would love to have a BMG as well. Do I think it's better to invest in a really good bow rather than a cheaper and more basic bow? That depends on your level and your goals and what you expect from the bow. Typically, a very good bow means that it's a stable platform, so it won't change during a competition. It has tunability, so you can tune your bow in different ways, just so you can fine tune everything up until a point that it makes you crazy. And yeah, it's just typically they're a little faster, they're a little more stable, a little easier to shoot. But when you're just starting off with archery, it doesn't make too much sense to get yourself a couple €1,000 bow rather than just a couple €100, because that will give you the same result and maybe even a better result with a cheaper bow. So definitely make sure that you get the bow that fits you and not the bow that you think will be the best because it's simply expensive. So let's see if you can find a balance. Let's see. Why do I shoot the Hoyt Formula series and not the Grand Prix? I've tried the Grand Prix series, but the Formula series is just that much snappier, it makes more sense to me that when I shoot my bow and the string hits, it's suddenly done. Like it's a very direct feel. With a Grand Prix bow, I feel like there is a bit more. Like it's a lot smoother, but it's also a bit more boring to shoot, and I like to have a little punch in my bow. Steve Weiler, he's probably at home. I guess. I wonder where Steve Weiler is. Somebody asks, but I guess he's at home. Um, Gary, where do you get your wooden grips for your XI, and any links to where you can get them? I'm actually also like I said before, we're working on wooden products, and a grip is one of them. So I will be able to provide you a link soon, but not at the moment yet. And Merry Christmas to everybody who's watching. People are wishing me a Merry Christmas, and right back at ya. We have been going for 45 minutes. I was planning on doing an hour of live streaming, so if you're just tuning in, we have about 15 minutes left, and then I have to do actual stuff, actual work. So yeah, but thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, just let me know, and I will see if I can answer them. Who's my favorite competitor to shoot against? I'm not sure I have a favorite competitor, but when I was shooting against Gijs at the Kings of Archery, that felt like I already won, even though we still had to shoot. Like because if I would have lost the final between me and Gijs would have won, and that would have counted as a win for me as well. So it's like that was really cool. But for the rest, it doesn't matter too much, because I always try to shoot against myself rather than shooting against Gijs. Jaap is secretly texting me, but Jaap can also just reply in the comment section, don't you think? Jaap? Everybody can call out Jaap for trying to text me secret stuff rather than talking in the comment section. When did Brady Ellison put the Triple Trouble sticker on his quiver? That's actually a funny story. We were in Moscow and we were sitting and waiting for our familiarization session, which is like the day before the final start. Everybody gets a chance to shoot on the finals field, so you know how the light is, and you can have a bit of a taste, see how it is there. And we were sitting in a tent, and we had to wait for the previous group. And then I was looking for my my badges. You get badges from Hyundai and World Archery that you have to put on your shirt. And I was looking for them in my quiver, and then I opened the bag of my quiver, like the little zipper bag, and I saw that I had a pile of Triple Trouble stickers, but they were in the way. So I took the stickers out, and then I looked at Brady, and he looked at the stickers, and I just gave him one, like why not? And then like without any doubt, he just he put it on his quiver, and then afterwards he said, "What is Triple Trouble exactly?" So even though it might seem like Brady was our biggest fan, he didn't know the channel yet, but I think he knows the channel now. So yeah, that was really cool, and yeah, I thought it was cool that he put the sticker on his quiver for the whole duration of the World Cup final. So yeah. Let's see. After how many years did you enter the international shootings? I guess the question is, how old was I, or what age did I have, or how long have I been shooting before I went international? I was 15 when I went to my first international tournament for juniors. That was in 2010, and I've been shooting since 1999, so that was 11 years after I started shooting. But I started shooting like seriously when I was 12, so 3 years after I started shooting seriously and outdoors, I went to my first international, and then in 2012 I started my senior career. So that's pretty much the things that you want to know, I guess. What do you think about the differences between Hoyt or win and win limbs? I haven't tested them enough to have a really proper opinion on them, but I shot a Hoyt and a win and win like next to each other without switching the limbs or whatever, and it seems like the win and win was a lot like quieter, but it also sounded dull in a sense. Like for me, I like it when a bow has a little bit of character, and the win and win like it took all of the character out. I guess there's also people who really like that, but yeah, for me, Hoyt makes more sense in that way. So yeah, that's the difference that I noticed between Hoyt or win and win. Do I know if the Fairweather brass tabs are gonna be available? I don't think they're brass, but I will post a link to the. Oh, I won't post a link because it's not a Fairweather. Wait, maybe it's on JVD. There's actually a metal plate available these days. You can get a metal plate. I'm seeing where it is. Modulus Pro shelf plate. So if you go to your dealer and you ask about the metal Fairweather tab, they are sure to be able to order it. So yeah, let's see. Next questions. Any tips on the string alignment? Really confused what's correct. My coach told me to align on the side, then I saw a tutorial on YouTube. It says align in the riser. What's the best? The best is what works for you, but I recommend using the riser, because if you align on the side and then you move your side, that means you have to move your alignment too, and that doesn't make too much sense to me. The difference between carbon and steel risers, I guess you mean aluminum or aluminium risers, but yeah, the difference is that the carbon will take vibration out of the shot, but that's something that you need to want. Carbon is also a, don't quote me on this, but I think carbon is an organic material, and it's made out of fibers, which means that the fibers and the epoxy will eventually wear a bit, and in my head that doesn't make sense, because you want a bow that's as consistent as possible. So to me, an aluminum riser makes more sense. When I tried a win-and-win, I also ordered a aluminum one. Did you ever think about 3D printing a grip? Yes, and I have had 3D printed grips, but I didn't like them as much as the wood, because the wood has a porous surface, so it gets rid of sweat. You have a little bit more grip, and it just felt nicer. Do I prefer a bald haircut or my old haircut? Bald, because I have less headaches, and that's the only reason I went bald in the first place. And now I got to the comment of New Sensei. It's cool that you're watching. He's asking, when are we doing our Q&A collab? Whenever, I think. Last time it didn't quite pan out the way we wanted to, because we were a bit busy. But yeah, let me know. Hit me up on Facebook or whatever. Instagram doesn't make that much difference. And we can set a date. I'm always up for it. As long as you have any understanding of the logistics of this. How can I live stream together with you when you're in Australia and I'm in the Netherlands? But for the rest, yeah, we can definitely figure something out. What's your opinion that you should wear sportswear when you're shooting? To me, that makes sense. I think wearing sportswear is good for the image of the sport. People have a tendency, like people from outside archery have a way of looking at the sport as it's a game. They compare it to darts, they compare it to whatever. But I think archery is a sport and it should be treated as such. It will eventually, if you are not treating it as a sport yourself and you're just shooting in jeans and a tank top or whatever, people will not take it seriously, and we want our sports to be taken more seriously. So, yeah, to me that makes sense. Let's see. Any other questions? What are your favorite spin wings? I use the, I would say, classic. I don't know, not the elite, but the normal ones. I might have some lying around. Maybe not. But I just use the standard spin wings, and I use the white ones because they're the weakest, and it makes more sense to me that a weak vein will correct the shot a bit more. Has your bow ever snapped, as in have the limbs come out of the riser pockets, or have you seen it at all? As recently one of my teammates' bows snapped in front of me. I have seen it, but I've never had it, luckily, myself. So when you string your bow, I recommend using a stringer for one, and also checking your limbs when you have strung your bow. So really check if they're in the right place, and always give it a little bit of a pull back and release when you have strung your bow. That'll probably get rid of any tendency to make your bow jump. Yeah, we've been almost going for an hour, so I want to round off a bit and answer the last couple of questions. If anybody has some questions before I leave again, you can put them in the comments. It's funny, somebody asked me about Mick a minute ago, and Mick just texted me. So yes, I'm still in contact with Mick. But is anybody? Would anybody be interested in a collaboration with New Sensei? You can also put some suggestions for videos in the comment box, or you can send them to us. Just keep in mind that we're pretty much exactly on the other ends of the world, so yeah, it won't be easy to do something in physical form, but yeah, let us know if you want to see anything that we can combine or challenge or whatever, but it has to be concrete. Yeah. My draw length and my spine length. I guess I'm not sure what you mean with spine length, but my draw length is about 30.5 inches, and I am 1 meters and 83 centimeters, if that's what you mean with spine length. Or my arrows are, I think, from carbon to carbon, 77 centimeters. What weight do you have on the fingers for competition versus training? The same. I both have about 52 pounds on the fingers, no matter if it's competition or training. Somebody's asking, why does my bow fall directly down rather than to the front? That might be because you are it might be because you're only pulling and not pushing, or you simply have quite a light bow for poundage compared to the mass weight of your bow, or it can just be the characteristics of that bow. There's a lot of reasons that it might fall downwards rather than to the front. Let's see. Any tips on the back muscle to engage more? I really do it the wrong way. I pull with my forearm. Is there a specific training for that? You can remind yourself mentally that you have to consider your arm to be a hook and not something that you move, but it's like from your elbow to your fingers, it's just like a relaxed thing. And then have somebody poke in your back at the right place when you're extending, and then you will feel where you have to move with your scapula. Sometimes when I draw, my bow feels like it goes upwards. I try to move it a little down, but I have a bit of a hard time. It feels like it still wants to go upwards. You can either fix this by putting a weight on your front stabilizer, or playing a bit around with your tiller. Jaap is using or asking if I use my pointy hairline as alignment for my string, but I don't. I wouldn't know how. I wish I could. Yeah, we have hit the hour mark, if I'm correct, and I promised to do an hour of streaming. So thanks for watching, and we will. I think I'll keep in touch with David from New Sensei, and maybe soon you'll see a collaboration between the two of us, or the four of us, whatever suits us best. So yeah, thanks everybody for asking the questions, and for hanging around for so long, and I will see you next time.